During the events of the Phantom Menace, having returned from Tatooine and then standing before the Jedi High Council on Coruscant, Qui-Gon Jinn was confident about two things when it came to Anakin. He was conceived by the midichlorians, and he was the Chosen One, someone who would fulfill the prophecy of the Chosen One to bring balance to the Force. This would be something he believed strongly right up until his death on Naboo, using his final words to implore Obi-Wan to train Anakin, again demonstrating his confidence to his apprentice that Anakin was the Chosen One. Even more, as we looked at in a previous video, there's material within the Legends lore, specifically within the novel The Life and Legend of Obi-Wan Kenobi, that Qui-Gon believed that Anakin was the Chosen One, even when Anakin had joined the Sith and dark side of the Force to become Darth Vader. Still confident Anakin was the Chosen One 2 years after Order 66, much to the confusion and even frustration of Obi-Wan. Although the Jedi High Council did ultimately allow Anakin to be trained, and its members did have some confidence that Anakin was the prophesied Chosen One who would bring balance to the Force, these Jedi did not have the confidence that Qui-Gon had, who in many ways held firm in his belief regarding Anakin's origins through the Force itself, and that he would bring balance to the Force. This is seen within the Legends lore in the novels Labyrinth of Evil and the Revenge of the Sith novelization, particularly through Yoda himself. For example, in Labyrinth of Evil, during the final days of the Clone War, when Obi-Wan put forth the idea that Anakin was the Chosen One, born to return balance to the Force, Yoda didn't suggest Obi-Wan was correct and put his confidence in Anakin being the Chosen One as Qui-Gon did, but instead told Obi-Wan that it was difficult to say, where the ultimate outcome of Anakin being the Chosen One was just as likely as that path never occurring. Yoda would again make this point in the Episode 3 novelization, during a conversation he had with Mace and Obi-Wan. When Obi-Wan referred to Anakin being the Chosen One, Yoda again noted that the future was always in motion, and the prophecy could have been misread. Instead of demonstrating his belief in Anakin being the Chosen One, Yoda concluded that the Force was an infinite mystery, where the more they learned, the more they discovered they didn't know. Therefore, even Yoda himself wasn't able to say with confidence, even by the end of the Clone War, that Anakin was the Chosen One, appearing not to share the certainty Qui-Gon demonstrated in Anakin's ultimate path more than a decade earlier. However, there was one individual who did share Qui-Gon's understanding about Anakin right from the beginning, recognizing as Qui-Gon did that Anakin's origins were defined by his being created by the Force itself, and that he was someone who would bring balance to the Force. And interestingly, this individual was not a Jedi, but the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. We'll first look at why Sidious had a unique understanding that would allow him to be able to conclude that Anakin was conceived by the Force itself, and then explain how it could be possible that both a Jedi in Qui-Gon and a Sith in Sidious could agree in a way that Anakin was destined to bring balance to the Force. Within the novel Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, it's revealed that Darth Sidious considered what he would do if Vader died immediately after discovering him on Mustafar. Sidious ultimately concluded that he wouldn't have been able to find another apprentice even half as powerful in the Force as Anakin. And what led Sidious to this conclusion? It was his agreement with Qui-Gon's belief that Anakin, first, had been created by the Force, and second, that he would ultimately restore balance to the Force. In regard to the first point, to replicate Anakin in his being conceived by the Force itself, Sidious realized that he would have to discover a way to compel the midichlorians to do his bidding, to bring into being someone as powerful as Anakin, connecting Anakin's origin to the midichlorians and the Force as Qui-Gon did. But how was Sidious so certain of this fact, where this conclusion was similar to the belief that Qui-Gon uniquely held? The novel Darth Plagueis provides a number of important events within the Legends lore that explains this conclusion by Sidious. Roughly a decade before the events of Episode 1, Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious were able to successfully shift the balance of the Force towards the dark side, after months of intense meditation. The two Sith Lords challenged the Force for sovereignty, and by succeeding, the dark side spread throughout the galaxy, a significant alteration that could be felt by anyone who is strong in the Force. Again, it's important to note that this event occurred roughly 10 years before Episode 1. Recognizing the importance of the efforts he and Plagueis undertook a decade earlier, Sidious had a unique perspective when Dooku approached him as Palpatine and not yet knowing his allegiance to the Sith to reveal Qui-Gon finding Anakin on Tatooine. As seen within the Darth Plagueis novel, in a conversation between Palpatine and Dooku, Dooku explained that Qui-Gon believed Anakin was conceived by the Force, with a potential connection to the prophecy of the Chosen One as well. Although Dooku himself rejected it, he explained to Palpatine that Qui-Gon believed Anakin stood within the center of a divergence in the Force, and that it was the will of the Force that he was located, given the connection to the Jedi Chosen One prophecy. Again, Dooku did not accept these conclusions made by Qui-Gon, and told Palpatine he didn't believe Anakin was the Chosen One. However, Sidious did not reject Qui-Gon's conclusions as easily. In fact, he became focused on the facts that emerged from Dooku's explanation of Qui-Gon's perspective, particularly the belief that Anakin was conceived by the Force. Sidious clearly recognized the important connection that existed with the shift in the Force that resulted from the actions he took with Plagueis a decade earlier, which aligned with the emergence of Anakin, allowing for the possibility that his origins were a product of the Force itself as Qui-Gon thought. Therefore, we see why Sidious had no trouble making the same conclusion that Qui-Gon did within the novel Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, ultimately concluding that Anakin was conceived by the Force, understanding what he and Plagueis accomplished a decade earlier, with Anakin being a potential outcome of the Force moving towards the dark side. But how did Sidious also share the same belief with Qui-Gon that Anakin's future involved him bringing balance to the Force, which seems like it might be confusing for a Jedi and a Sith to both accept this outcome. As seen within the Rise of Darth Vader novel, this was a result of Sidious's definition of balance. For Sidious, the Force would be restored to balance when the dark side was allowed to emerge fully after a millennium of being stifled. Based upon this, there was no confusion for Sidious regarding what balance meant. After centuries of the Jedi and light side of the Force dominating the galaxy, the Sith would then be allowed to take that position for themselves, balance being achieved when the Sith similarly controlled the galaxy. Therefore, despite their opposite allegiances to the Sith and Jedi, Sidious's unique perspective allowed him to accept the same conclusions Qui-Gon made regarding Anakin in relation to him being the Chosen One. Although each would have a different understanding about the true meaning behind Anakin's origins and his ultimate path, both Sidious and Qui-Gon were confident that Anakin was conceived by the Force, and he would bring balance to the Force. So there we have it, how Sidious and Qui-Gon agreed about Anakin's origins and ability to bring balance to the Force. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For Qui-Gon being right in the end.